Did you know that sitting for long hours can increase your risk of death? This statement may sound dramatic, but it's rooted in scientific fact. Welcome to our exploration of the hidden dangers of sedentary behavior, a lifestyle that many of us lead without even realizing it. Let's take a journey into a significant study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association. This study found that older women who sat for more than 11.7 hours per day increased their risk of death by 30%, irrespective of their exercise habits. That's right. Even if you're hitting the gym regularly, those hours spent sitting at your desk, in front of the TV, or behind the wheel could be silently chipping away at your health. This discovery might feel unsettling, but don't worry. We're here to help you understand the science behind it and how to mitigate these risks. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this fascinating study and what it means for your health. Let's take a closer look at the groundbreaking study that sparked this discussion. This investigation was conducted by Steve Nguyen, a postdoctoral fellow at the University of California, San Diego Herbert Wertheim School of Public Health and Human Longevity Science. His team examined data from nearly 6,500 women, ranging in age from 63 to 99. These women were monitored for 8 years, and the data was collected as part of a long-term national project known as the Women's Health Initiative. To track the women's activity levels, the researchers utilized hip devices, which the participants wore for up to 7 days. These devices provided precise measurements of sitting and daily activity. This approach allowed the researchers to objectively assess the amount of time spent sitting, as well as the frequency and duration of physical activity. The researchers then used a novel machine-learned algorithm known as JAHA to analyze the data. This algorithm was created using machine learning, a type of artificial intelligence, which enhanced its ability to accurately distinguish between periods of standing and sitting. This was a significant improvement over previous techniques, which simply identified low or absent movement. The JAHA algorithm allowed the researchers to delve deeper into the data. They were not only able to determine total sitting time, but also the duration of individual sitting bouts. This level of detail was unprecedented and was crucial in revealing the relationship between sedentary behavior and mortality risk. The researchers defined sedentary behavior as any waking behavior involving sitting or reclining with low energy expenditure. This definition was broad enough to encompass a wide range of activities, from watching television to reading a book or working at a desk. In the end, the study revealed a startling correlation. Women who sat for 11.7 hours or more per day increased their risk of death by 30%, regardless of whether they exercised vigorously. This was a significant finding and one that underscored the importance of regular movement, even for those who engage in regular exercise. With this innovative approach, researchers were able to uncover startling correlations between sedentary behavior and mortality. You might be wondering, why is sitting for long periods so harmful? Well, it all comes down to the physiological effects of sedentary behavior on our bodies. When we sit for long periods, we reduce the number of muscle contractions, the blood flow, and the glucose metabolism in our bodies. Let's start with muscle contractions. When you're standing or moving, your muscles are constantly contracting and releasing. This activity helps to stimulate blood flow and maintain muscle tone. However, when you're sitting, your muscles are in a relaxed state. Over time, this lack of activity can lead to muscle atrophy or the wasting away of muscle tissue. This is why people who sit for most of the day often complain of backaches and other muscle-related issues. Next, let's talk about blood flow. When you're sitting, the blood flow throughout your body slows down. This can lead to a number of health issues, including poor circulation and an increased risk of blood clots. What's more, reduced blood flow means that less oxygen and nutrients are being delivered to your cells, which can hinder their ability to function properly. Finally, we have glucose metabolism. When you're sitting, your body's ability to metabolize glucose or sugar is decreased. Over time, this can lead to higher blood sugar levels and an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Now you might be thinking, well, I exercise regularly, so I should be fine, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case. According to the study we mentioned earlier, exercise cannot undo the negative effects of prolonged sitting. This means that even if you're hitting the gym for an hour each day, if you're sitting for the rest of the day, you're still at risk. So while exercise is still incredibly important for overall health and well-being, it's not enough to combat the dangers of prolonged sitting. You need to also focus on reducing the amount of time you spend sitting each day. Even with exercise, prolonged sitting still poses a significant health risk. But what if you exercise regularly? Can it offset the effects of prolonged sitting? One might be inclined to think that a good workout would balance out the time spent in a chair. However, the findings of this study suggest otherwise. The research examined the habits of both low and high exercisers, those who engage in varying degrees of moderate to vigorous physical activity. What it found was rather surprising. Whether a woman was a fitness enthusiast hitting the gym daily, or someone who preferred a more laid-back approach to exercise, if she sat for long hours, her risk of mortality increased. It seems that the negative impacts of prolonged sitting cannot be simply sweated out in an hour at the gym or shrugged off with a brisk walk. The study's co-author, Dr. Stephen Nguyen, emphasized how, if I take a brisk long walk for an hour but sit the rest of the day, I'm still accruing all the negative effects on my metabolism. This underlines a crucial point. Exercise is undeniably beneficial for our health, but it's not a magic bullet that erases the damage caused by hours spent sitting. It's like trying to counterbalance a diet full of junk food with a daily salad. It helps, but it doesn't completely solve the problem. As it turns out, regular exercise isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card when it comes to sitting. So what can we do to mitigate this risk, you might ask? Well, the study offers some practical recommendations that we can incorporate into our daily lives. Let's dive into it. Based on their research, the scientists suggest that the risk of mortality starts to increase when we're sitting for about 11 hours per day. This risk is compounded when we sit for longer durations at a time. For instance, sitting for more than 30 minutes at a stretch is associated with a higher risk than if we were to sit for only 10 minutes at a time. But let's face it, most of us aren't going to get up 6 times an hour, especially when we're engrossed in our work or an interesting movie. So, the study suggests a more feasible approach. Perhaps we could aim to get up once an hour, or even better, every 20 minutes or so. Now don't worry, you don't have to go for a run every time you get up. Simply standing for a little while could do the trick. This small act of standing and moving around a bit can help break the cycle of prolonged sitting and give your body the much-needed break it deserves. However, the study also highlights an important aspect. Not all sitting is the same. There are certain activities that might require us to sit, but are cognitively stimulating, like learning a new language or solving a puzzle. The effects of such sedentary behavior on our health are not yet fully understood and warrant further investigation. In the end, remember that the goal is not to eliminate sitting entirely, but to break it up with periods of standing or light movement. It's about finding a balance and making small, manageable changes to our lifestyle. It's about being mindful of our sedentary habits and finding ways to incorporate more movement into our daily routine. By making these small changes, we can significantly reduce our risk. So let's stand up, move around, and take a step towards a healthier, longer life. But remember, not all sitting is created equal. As we dive deeper into the world of sedentary behavior, it's crucial to acknowledge that some seated activities can indeed have cognitive benefits. Imagine you're sitting comfortably in your favorite chair, engrossed in studying a new language. The neurons in your brain are sparking connections, creating a web of knowledge that can enhance cognitive resilience and potentially delay the onset of cognitive decline. In these instances, the act of sitting becomes a vehicle for mental stimulation, a stark contrast to the mindless hours we might spend slouched on the couch, binging on our favorite shows. It's a meaningful reminder that context matters. However, this shouldn't be seen as a free pass to spend all day every day seated. Even if we're engaging our minds, our bodies still need movement. The blood needs to flow, the muscles need to contract, and the heart needs to beat a little faster now and then. So, intersperse those periods of cognitive stimulation with moments of physical activity. Stand up, stretch, take a walk around the room, or even do a few jumping jacks. Whatever it takes to get the body moving and the blood circulating. It's not about painting all sedentary behavior with the same broad brush. It's about recognizing the nuances, understanding the impacts, and making informed decisions about our daily routines. It's all about balance and understanding the effects of our behaviors on our bodies.